From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Happy Thursday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. Thank you so much for joining me here for your morning update. All right, here's the deal. We've got a nice little drop in our temperatures. It was pretty warm, got in the low 90s for many of us in the valley yesterday. Today, we're looking at temperatures more like the 80s. So yes, that's today and tomorrow, with really no big changes overall, though, when we look at the long range, or at least through the weekend into next week. And could we see our first triple-digit reading of the year toward the end of next week, maybe the end of the month? We'll see. That's what it's looking like at this point here. More on that a little bit later here, but here is your Krueger's Quickcast for your Thursday, May 22nd. And, we're going to be looking at another mild start to the day. There are a few clouds coming in as this disturbance comes up to our north, but for the most part, mainly sunny skies, partly to mostly cloudy skies along the coast. Temperatures mainly upper 40s and 50s for the higher elevations and low to mid 60s for the valley by 8 o'clock in the morning. So that disturbance I was talking about. You see all the clouds over the Pacific Northwest working its way eastward. We have more coming in behind that, and that's what's going to really continue to bring in that cooler air over the next couple of days, today and tomorrow. I want to start with the winds because this is something I've been talking about over the last few days, elevated fire weather risk. I am seeing improving conditions with the winds. It still may be a little breezy out of the northwest here today for the north end of the valley, but nothing to be terribly concerned about. But just note that may pick up later this afternoon, and a little breezy off to the east here out towards Susanville as well. We take you into your Friday morning, starting off with fairly calm winds again, and most likely calmer winds for tomorrow afternoon. Let's take a look at Futurecast, talk about any kind of cloud cover. There you can see some of the clouds developing for the afternoon in the higher elevations and even for parts of the north coast. We may see a passing cloud later this afternoon for the valley, but still looking at plenty of sunshine, especially for the valley here today. And then for tonight, still some clouds lingering, and then more afternoon clouds coming in for your Friday as well. And again, mainly for the higher elevations and for the coast. So sunny skies mainly for the valley, mid 80s. Yeah, mid 80s. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s for the higher elevations. And we've got those upper 50s to low 60s here for the coast. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day forecast for the valley. There's that nice dip in our temperatures today and tomorrow. We're back up to around 90, upper 80s, low 90s for Saturday, Sunday. A nice little dip for your Memorial Day before we go back up in the 90s for Tuesday and Wednesday. For the coast, temperatures just averaging out in the low 60s, although maybe a little bit warmer by Tuesday, Wednesday, in the low to maybe some mid 60s. There's that drop in the temperatures inland and for Trinity County, back up to around 80 inland for Saturday, Sunday, a nice dip on Memorial Day, and then back in the 80s for Tuesday and Wednesday. Siskiyou, Modoc County, the Eastern Mountains, I've included a chance. Now here's the thing. It's going to be few and far between on Friday. If you see anything, it's not going to last for very long. You're talking a sprinkle, maybe a passing shower. I don't anticipate any thunderstorms, and then it dries out and warms back up over the weekend. Again, also that slight dip in the temperatures for Memorial Day, warming back up by Tuesday and Wednesday. That's a look at Krueger's Quickcast. Do want to remind you as we get more into the fire season, just a reminder that I've got a great resource for you at weathernorcal.com. So if you go to weathernorcal.com, scroll down a little bit here, you'll see where it says fire danger. Click right here. I have put together just a great source of information. If you're looking for a current fire, you're concerned about it, you can find out more information about that. You can take a look at the fire weather updates as far as any forecasts are concerned coming in from the National Weather Service. So again, just a lot of great resources, and where there are any evacuation watches or warning or evacuation warnings or orders or anything of that nature. And you also have all the county emergency offices as well for information. So once again, just a great one-stop shop. Check it out at weathernorcal.com. Okay, so here's again the deeper dive now, and you can see this is the area of low pressure that's pushing through now. Now there's more coming in behind that. There's more energy that's going to feed on in. Now the second one that's going to push through tomorrow is going to dig just a little bit deeper to the south. That means our temperatures may be a little bit cooler tomorrow, and maybe a chance for a few showers for some of the higher elevations. We'll get into that here in just a bit. Once again, I want to talk about the winds because that's been a bit of an issue of concern here with the elevated fire weather risk. We're still seeing those winds gusting upwards of around 15 to 20 miles per hour in the valley. We want to get them below that. We want to get them in the 10 mile per hour range or even lower than that. And you can see as we go into the morning on Friday, yes, we're getting a nice little break, but then they pick back up again. But at least now we're getting closer to just the 15 instead of the 20 mile an hour range. So that is a nice little break. And then you can see as we go into Saturday, once again, a nice little break from those winds. But the humidity is also something we've got to pay attention to because when we drop down to the single digits, that's an issue. But I am seeing improving conditions. We've seen here as we go into today, yeah, we're in the lower teens, mid-teens, but again, we're not in the single digits. We're seeing recovery. Recovery is also very important because that allows our humidity levels to go back up. And should there be any fires, that does give some relief for the firefighters. Then you can see as we go into 3 p.m. on Friday, yeah, still down into the teens, but at least we're staying away from the single digits. And it looks like as we go through the day on Saturday, we're back on our way to the teens. But once again, we are not seeing those single digits in the forecast, which is that little bit of relief from that elevated fire weather risk. Okay, so here's a look at Futurecast, and you can see the clouds developing this afternoon for especially the higher elevations. We could see a couple of passing clouds for the valley, but mainly sunny skies there, and really even some clearing here for the coast this afternoon. For tomorrow morning, you can still see some clouds along the coast, some of the higher elevations, but mainly clear skies to start off the day. By midday Friday, look at this, we're beginning to see some more what we call convective activity. So those afternoon cumulus clouds are developing as we typically see this time of the year in the mountains. Some of those could produce a stray shower. And I don't anticipate any thunderstorms, but for Siskiyou, Modoc County, and in particular Lassen and Plumas counties, you may see a stray sprinkle, a shower, but no thunderstorms. And really, quite honestly, it's going to be few and far between. So a lot of you will make it through the day on Friday without even seeing a drop of rain. Then it dries out again for your Saturday morning, and Saturday around midday, we're beginning to see that pattern of those afternoon cumulus clouds developing, but you can see it's taking a little bit later in the day, so the chances for any sprinkles or light showers Saturday afternoon in the mountains are going to be a bit slimmer. So here's the overall setup with the up and down temperatures. Temperatures were up yesterday. We're bringing them back down today and tomorrow as that cooler air kind of moves on in, but then that shifts off to the northeast. Warmer air, high pressure builds in over the weekend. That's going to allow our temperatures to get a little bit warmer again, upper 80s, low 90s in the valley. This is not a terribly strong ridge of high pressure, and really the center of that high pressure, that is off to our east. So we're going to see that spill over to Northern California, but I mean, we're not talking about really hot temperatures. You're talking around 90, give or take, for the valley. Now, the cooler air here is going to ride up to our north, giving us a nice little dip in our temperatures by Memorial Day, but then behind that is another ridge of high pressure that'll build in through next week, giving us warmer temperatures. So let's take a look at that trend. A couple of things to point out. You can clearly see the one at the very end, right? But let's talk about this before we get to that. Mid-80s today, tomorrow for Redding. We're back up around 90, give or take, for the weekend. There's that little increase with that ridge building in. A little dip for your Memorial Day. Temperatures ticking back up. Now by Friday, Saturday of next week, okay, we could be looking at the potential of our first triple-digit reading of the year. So let's take a look at when we some of the earliest times that we've seen the triple digits move in. And really, we'll start with the 90s. Of course, we were well into the 90s, so we don't have to worry about that. That's not something we really talk about a whole lot right now. But May 4th, at the earliest, the Redding Airport, not Redding in general, 1992, May 4th, was when it was 100 degrees. So the first time to hit 100 degrees or higher was May 4th of 92. First time we hit 110 or higher was June 5th. Now we're approaching June 5th, right? We're getting closer to that. So, you know, the later we can wait, the better. And it looks like right now it's going to be sometime around the end of this month into early next month. Taking a look at those lake levels, yes, still seeing that minor drop over the last week or so for Shasta Lake or Lake Shasta. There you can see that minor increase, that rise in the lake levels for Trinity Lake and Lake Oroville. Lake Oroville is at 99% capacity. I mean, it's you know, just a little more than a foot from cresting. It's amazing. All right, so there you can see the wave heights. They are low. That's good. They are beginning to increase though as we go into Friday. No small craft advisories today. That may change by tomorrow or over the next few days. North winds at about 5 to 10 knots. Your waves from the northwest at 5 feet at 10 seconds. So here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. Your temperatures are going to be mainly in the 70s. South of Highway 299, temperatures in the 60s. We take you out to the north coast, temperature of 63 in Blue Lake, 73 in Garberville, and 61 degrees in Shelter Cove, 69 in Gas Key, 71 for Orleans, and 76 degrees for Willow Creek. For Siskiyou County, what I've got here is dry conditions today, maybe a chance for a sprinkle, a light shower, but mainly dry even for your Friday. That's also the case for Modoc County with that slight chance on Friday. Otherwise, we're warming up over the weekend, slight dip Memorial Day, and then by Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, we're back in the low 80s. Your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, temperatures are going to be in the 70s on average. You can see a little bit cooler out towards Mineral at 66, 65 in Viola, but Paradise, yeah. Susanville, temperature of about 75 degrees today. For the valley, yeah, nice little dip in those temperatures, generally in the mid 80s. Some places like Paskenta and Elk Creek, more like 82, 83, 84 degrees for Oroville. Here's your 7-day forecast for Chico, even dropping a little bit more for your Friday, but we warm back up. Chico upper 80s for the weekend. I mean, you could touch 90. And then Memorial Day back down to 85 before 90s return by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So a little bit cooler out towards Whiskeytown, Lakehead, upper 70s. Looks like in the mid 80s, 85 degrees for Redding. 85 in Palo Cedro and Red Bluff. And there's a look at your 7-day forecast for Redding. And you got those mid 80s for today and tomorrow, right around 90, give or take, over the weekend. There's that slight dip in the temperature again on Monday, and then back in the low 90s by Tuesday and Wednesday. That is your morning update. I'll be back again at noon for your latest forecast. Have a great morning.
This May, get active with the Shasta Bike Month and Challenge. For both beginner and experienced cyclists, you can ride anywhere, anytime during the month of May. Whether it's to work, the store, or a leisurely spin on a trail, every ride counts. Join the challenge and log your rides with the Love to Ride platform. Compete as a team of coworkers, friends, or family. Every bike ride you take earns you chances to win local prizes. Sign up today at ShastaBikeChallenge.org.